Alex here with part 11 of the My Docket series on Corazon real estate. I'm thinking at this point it's the reply to my opposition to a motion to dismiss, and so Charles Chinnici is still representing his corporation. I don't remember at all what was in the reply. I feel like my mindset was probably positive because he probably didn't cite any statutes, just like he did with the motion. Um, the only thing I can do really is look into what he filed. And so this is going to be a pretty short introductory section. Let's just go ahead and take a look at what Charles Chinnici has filed. Here we have the reply to my opposition to motion to dismiss. His reply to my opposition to motion to dismiss. He has an introductory paragraph indicating he is representing Corazon Real Estate in proper person. He's respectfully filing his reply. He says it would appear from my 12-page opposition filed with case law in answer to his 3-page motion that it is I who am practicing law without a license, not the defendant. It is clear that I am fully versed in law and I'm litigious in nature and I'm no stranger to intimidation tactics, having worked for years for collection agencies. So the first thing that he's doing that's completely wrong is he's trying to compare my 12-page motion to his 3-page motion. I mean, I can't say it's completely silly because even like my ex's attorney used to do this too in different ways. She would say, Alex has filed this many things. Just the mere number of pages or the mere number of filings alone doesn't mean anything. Maybe litigious, but doesn't mean intent to harass. Those are two different things. And the Supreme Court talks about that. And then the other thing I want to mention is that practicing law without a license is representing somebody else, not yourself. So if you're representing yourself, this is not practicing law without a license. He's not allowed to represent his corporation, and that's what the Supreme Court's about to say. He'll figure that out when they enter their ruling. But just to be clear to you guys, when you're representing yourself, it's not possible for you to be practicing law without a license because that's just allowed. You're just allowed to do that. Let's see. Defendant cited no authority because he's not an attorney. And because this case falls under a higher authority called common sense. This isn't going to work. Plaintiff has wasted the court's... Well, it works with this judge. He does dupe the judge, but the Supreme Court will step in. Plaintiff has wasted the court's time by filing a frivolous lawsuit in the wrong court, deliberately asking for non-existent damages. So this is called punitive damages. So he's really upset, I can tell. Because I think that he thinks that he's allowed to do what he's doing. He thinks it's fair. He doesn't understand how it's damaging. And again, guys, towards the end of the series, we're going to take a look at the reviews. So you can see that this particular individual didn't learn from this experience. He continued to do what he was doing. And it's not just this guy. I really need to continue to underline this. I very strongly believe that this is not the exception. This is the rule. I believe that what this landlord / property owner / corporation CEO guy is doing is what most of them do. And so that probably even more reinforces his position or his opinion in his mind. Hey, I'm just doing what all my colleagues do. So, I mean, this isn't fair. Why am I getting targeted for what everyone does? And I'm just, the plaintiff trying to say that this shouldn't be done at all. This shouldn't be an industry standard. And that's why we need punitive damages to stop it from being an industry standard. That's the point of it. Plaintiff complains that he cannot be compelled to take the case to small claims court, yet asks this court to order defendant to hire an attorney. So I get what these are arguments that make sense when you take law out of it, because it doesn't seem fair that he should have to hire an attorney. It does seem, I actually stated in my motion that I can sympathize with this. I just think that the Supreme Court is going to void any kind of judgment that I get if I beat this guy. I'm concerned that he has to have an attorney to represent Corazon Real Estate, because without the authority to do so, it's going to complicate the judgment. That's my fear. If I could just, and I even mentioned that in my motion, if I could just say, hey, I waive, and he's allowed to represent them, then that's fine. But it doesn't work that way. So he has to get an attorney because it's a corporation. There's nothing he can do about it. And I can't be forced to take my case to small claims court because the Constitution says so. So this is a good argument if you take out the law and the Constitution and you just sort of use common sense, like what he calls it. This is why I actually have a video that explains why you can't use common sense when you go to court, because common sense is something that can be interpreted so many different ways. It's not that clear. And I think I talk about that in the video, Fairness versus the Law. Anyway, he's saying that I have a vendetta against him and that I intend to push the case as far as I can. He says I'm engaging in vexatious litigation for the sole purpose of harassing them by wasting their time and money, over $125, to continue to litigate a meritless case before the court. So harassment is actually under 12.0102B. So, I mean, his opinion that this is harassment isn't good enough. And so he's not citing 12.0102B. He's not citing Rule 11. And I get that he feels really frustrated, but the main reason he feels frustrated is what I said earlier, is that he feels like he's doing what all of his other colleagues do. And also that he feels that I should respond in the way that the other people respond. So he's probably used to litigants filing small claims actions. And so since I'm not doing what all the other litigants are doing, he's saying that this is why it's revenge, or this is why it's harassment. Because, and I kind of get how somebody who thinks in really simple terms would feel that way, is that you should do what everyone else is doing. You shouldn't do something different. That's weird, and therefore you're evil. But that's just not how the law works. Case belongs in small claims court, not in district court. The monetary boundaries are for obvious reasons. This is only true without the punitive damage award. With the punitive damage award, this fails. The case should be dismissed, and if I wish to spend time continuing, it should be done in the proper court. So then he should be saying dismissed without prejudice, not with prejudice. Okay, that looks like everything. So what is this? He doesn't have an affidavit. Certificate of service under Rule 5. So, I mean, I don't think there were any facts alleged in there. Otherwise, I could have made a deal out of that. If you don't, you're supposed to have an affidavit attached to a motion in opposition, and I think a reply too. But I don't think he alleged any facts in there. I think he's just arguing, points of law. So he probably would be fine without including an affidavit. Next document, request for submission filed by Charles Chinnici, submitting this to the court for determination. And if you want to learn more about how these work, please watch my video on the topic, request for submission. Certificate of service under Rule 5, just indicating email this to me. Going into the aftermath, I didn't file anything, so I incurred $0 in costs. The Corazon Real Estate filed 2 documents, but they were free filings, so he incurred $0 in costs. I didn't have an attorney, so I incurred $0 in attorney fees. His attorney may have reviewed these just to determine whether their client exposed them to anything, because it can happen. But I don't imagine they would have put more than 15 minutes into it, so that's going to come to, at the rate of $250 an hour, $62.50 in attorney fees for Charles Chinnici or Corazon Real Estate, when they actually do get hired and they're actually forced to review this file. All that being said, if you have any questions, feel free to post them down in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.